So this is me making a song. This is a blank Ableton, just opened it. First thing I do is I just check quantization is on 16th note. So that is on 16th note, and I've picked out this vocal. It's a bit loud. Just put the volume down a little bit. So pick that vocal out, and I'm going to use it. So let's just drag this in. This is quite a long vocal. It's at least a couple of minutes long. I like to use longer vocals, so I've got more to play with on a song. I may use this vocal for the song, or I may actually just make a song around the vocal, take the song out and make another song out of it. But let's go. Let's try this one out. First thing I'll do is just check out the vocal. You can see on the bottom there, it says it's 128 BPM and it's in E. So let's leave the BPM at 120, but change this BPM here. Just click warp. Change this to 128. Leave complex settings alone. We could use complex Explorer, but this will do for now. And I never start the song right at the beginning. I just start it up here after the first bar. Just get it to a medium adaptive grid, so just easy to see. And there it is. So let's just test. Let's just put the metronome and just test that it's in. The rhythm is working.
All we have is one night for us, and
okay, so sometimes with these songs, they don't start on the beat. So let's move it there.
all we have is one.
So that will do. Because there's always a little bit of space in these vocals. That's cool. That's fine. So next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to find a nice beat. So I've just downloaded a few splice kicks from Neon Chill, a few loops. This is a few days ago, so I need to just audition them, so bear with me. And they sound cool, but I actually normally like to have the kick and the snare. I mean, they sound really cool. I may use them, but kick and snare on separate tracks. So they're hats. So let's look for drum loops. Let's type the word kick in here, so we can just narrow it down a bit. So that's not too bad. Let's listen to this one here. There's a bit of air at the beginning of all of the loops. I do like the way they sound, so let's just bring one of them in. Take the metronome off. See, it sounds a bit sort of like soft. In fact, I'm not really digging them at all. Let's try a few others. So I love that kick sound actually, but I don't really want the rest of it, so I'm just going to cut the rest of it out. By the way, you can just cut something by pressing Control and E. But I just use the mouse, which is fair enough. So I've just literally just taken that kick sound and pressing Control D to duplicate it, and pressing Shift and Select to select the 4 bars, and then I'm going to press Control and J. Just to let you know that using keyboard shortcuts makes you very, very productive in Ableton, if you didn't know that already. Let's listen to just the kick now. So one thing I'm not sure about is that if you just look at the kick, it goes right to the top. It's not clipping, but it's too dangerously clipping for my liking. So I'm just going to give this sample a bit of headroom, and I'm just going to copy this, just Control D again throughout the whole song. I mean, we can take stuff out later. So that's the kick. So I like the sound of that, so I'm going to see if we can find some snare sounds in the same area, because I've selected the sample area, so it's Oliver Power, or whatever it's called. So I've selected the sample area and I want to get more samples from there, so I'm just going to type it snare. Sorry, I've just got hiccups. So that's not too bad. Just look for a few more. Don't like that one. That one's a bit weird. Let's just go to the top. Neon Chill, there's some really nice sounds in that loop. So this one's quite minimal. I like that one. So I'm looking, by the way, I'm looking to make something relatively minimal, kind of like with an 80s vibe to it. So that will do. So the kick and the snare are just bang on each other, but not a fan of that. I just want to move the snare. I'm just going to right click on the adaptive grid, just move it, change it to sort of narrow. Just going to move it just a touch. See what that sounds like. Okay, so when you do that, it could, yeah, see there's a little bit of space there at the end. So what you do need to do is select that and then press shift and then get right down to the end there, because what could happen is that you, when you Control D or Control Shift D or whatever you do, and whenever you're cutting and pasting stuff, you might go out of sync. So I'm just going to press Control J just so it aligns. Nice. And at the beginning of the loop, because I have shifted things, it's going to just start a little bit early. So I'm just going to align that, select the whole loop again, and press Control J, just so we have the loop in sync. Let's get rid of that, sorry. So this is similar to the other one. It has a little bit, just too little headroom, so I'm just going to make it smaller there. And like the other one, I'm just going to select all of these and just do that. So the whole song has that sort of aspect to it. Now the snare, the hi-hats are the next thing. So hi-hats, the question about hi-hats is, do we want a hi-hat or do we not want a hi-hat? So a lot of songs have got hi-hats, and most of my songs have them, but you don't need them throughout the entire song, and you can actually have different types of hi-hats. It depends on the feel of the song. If you want to get the song feeling like it's moving a bit more, then the hi-hat gives you that sensation that you're moving things along. So at the beginning of a song, you don't need a hi-hat, but then you want to, say in the bridge or the chorus, you may want a hi-hat to move things along, or you may want a slow hi-hat at the beginning of the song, and as you build up to the chorus, you may want it to go like double speed, just like this one here. This is a bit more minimal, so maybe this is a good hi-hat for the beginning of the song. But I don't like the rhythm of that one, so there's also, I think there was some in here that I liked. You're probably thinking I just use loops, and that's not the case actually. I just use loops to get a feeling of what sort of sound I may want on my song. So this one here, for example, is a simple hi-hat. So I'm just going to duplicate that. If you listen to the song without the hi-hat, it's okay. If you listen to it with the hi-hat, so it's not too bad. And the other hi-hat I heard before, if we can find it. Give me a sec. Actually, it was in Neon Chill. There it is. that one there could go well with this. So it's a 4 on the floor sort of hi-hat.
One night for a sec.
Yeah, see that? Let me just put the volume up.
One night for a sec.
So that one there, I'm going to just change the color of it so I know it's different to the other hi-hat. And I'm just going to put it here somewhere. We may use it later in the bridge and the chorus. So what's good about all this stuff is that I could just use a single hat sample, but you know what I like about these loops is you don't need to just create loops, they're just there. But if you don't like the sound, you can always just go in and change them. So for me, this is not too bad a start, and I haven't really decided whether to use them. So I like the kick and the snare. I haven't duplicated them out. I've just kept them there just so they are, you know, they're just there in case I need them later in the song. Because really, what we're working on here is an arrangement of the song. So the next thing I would tend to do at this point here is I've got a keyboard, so I could play in a nice bass sound to try and see if I can get a good rhythm going on the song, but with those drums. And because I know the song's in E, because remember I showed you before, you've got the sample is in E. So it says there it's in E. So I can just click the E chord or anything that's in the E scale. Now if you don't understand scales or chords, this is not going to help you very much, but I am, sorry about my squeaky chair, I'm going to just play, I'm going to get a Hive synth in. Hive is a Yuhi synth. I think that's how you pronounce it, Yuhi. And Yuhi also make Diva, which is an amazing synth. I'm not saying Hive isn't amazing, but what I like about Hive is it's got really good presets and really low CPU. So whereas Diva doesn't. So because I'm just working on the arrangement, I'm just going to use Hive mostly to build the track up so I don't have anything slowing me down, because creativity is about speed, right? So I used to use like a really good sounding, like Hive is an excellent sounding synth, and it's got really good presets, but you know they tend to get replaced by other presets, by things like Diva, or I could just tweak Hive. So so basically the key to creativity is speed. Something like Diva is going to slow you down because it's so CPU intensive. Depends on sort of computer you've got, of course, but with my computer, it just slows me down. So I'm just going to audition some of the sounds. Click on the record button. At this point you might get some latency, so let's just, delay compensation seems to be always on, so I'm just going to click this reduce latency when monitoring. It doesn't always work, but so what I'm going to do is just click on one of these sounds. I'm going to just use the keyboard to select and audition sounds while I play. Yeah, Chubby. I do use Chubby a lot, actually. I just like the sound of it. So let's just right click on here, just make sure we've got, yep, I already checked the, so the other thing that's really important if you're recording with the keyboard for me is just to make sure you've got record quantization on. Just everything just gets quantized as you record it, you don't need to quantize it later. Okay, so let's just loop this first part and just see if we can get rhythm going. That's a bit fast. I'm not the most talented keyboard player. Let's slow it down. We'll speed this up later. So that's just not enough of a selection, so let's just make it larger.
All we have is one night for a sec.
I'm starting with E, but it doesn't sound great with E, so let me just try another key. Let's try C. C. C doesn't sound good. Let's try G sharp. I think that's not too bad actually. Let's just record that. Oh, I forgot the key. Let's do that again. We just press this overdub, so we just can over, so we don't lose anything. And I'm going to get rid of the loop as well. So it's 4 bars done. I did say don't need to quantize, but I'm just going to check. So it is quantized. So I'm just going to listen to the sound. Yeah, that's the sound. That's probably a better. So this creates a bit of tension, and it just brings you back to that. So I'll just show what I mean. So I'm just going to just make sure I've completely selected the bars correctly. Press Ctrl J, and just cut off the fat, trim it off, give it a haircut. Just make sure that's in sync. So the trick is, if it sounds good looped, it's probably a good bit of bass. No, I think that's fine, but it's just because it's so low you can't really hear it very well. By the way, I just pressed Shift and up. That just brings it up an octave. So just a bit of tension bringing it up to the root note, which actually seems to be G sharp, not A. But, not E, but that's what they say. So I'm just going to repeat that as well. Now the other thing I'm going to do is, that is the kind of the root note 5, but you can barely hear it. So I just want a different bass. That is, so I've kept the chubby one. I've duplicated the track. I'll just press this and Control D. Just going to select maybe another bass with a bit of a higher frequency. And instead of audition, I'm just going to just hear what it sounds like with different sounds. So let's just loop a couple of bars, press Control L to loop it.
Touching your love around. All we have is one night. All we have is one night for us.
Oh, that's okay. No, there was another sound. I've lost it. So I'm not really getting a bass that I like with this. I'm not even that inspired by this song, to be honest, but I guarantee you it's going to be much better soon. So let's just bear with me. So I'm just selecting leads now instead of basses. Or you can select plucks actually. Plucks, so like they're a bit like bassy, but a bit higher frequency. That's not too bad actually. So that isn't a bass, but it gives it a bit of a higher frequency, just energy that I'm looking for now. The thing is, I'm not precious. I mean, any of this stuff will just go away. I can just get rid of and chop and change it as I need to, as the song evolves. Really, you've got an evolution going on here. This is, you know, the song's not probably going to be anything like this when it's finished. So I just brought a Pro EQ, I brought an EQ in. You can use any EQ, obviously, but it's got some pretty good default settings like cut low side. This is actually cut low side is on every single track, because a lot of this information here can't even be heard anyway. So we just want to duplicate this, and the cut low side will be the last in the chain. So we're going to just take this one and clean and just set it back to normal. And just double click there. I'm just going to just get rid of any of the sort of the bassy parts. Excellent. So the next thing is I'm going to just copy, I'm going to duplicate this, Control D, and I'm going to do the chords. So really just want to use the same notes, but we're going to use them. I'm going to use them like, we're going to do this. I'm going to just replace the bass notes with longer notes. I'm not sure if we're going to just keep them like this for now, and as I say, everything's subject to change. Obviously the sound has to be a little bit different. Keep using Hive because that's low CPU, so we're just going to use just a keyboard sound. There was a nice sound there. That makes me think maybe just put a pad or a string sound in here. So this is going to be a bit of an experiment. I'm just going to do a kickstart in here. I forgot to remove the EQ, so I'm just going to remove the EQ. Didn't like that sound that much. The vocals are starting to irritate me. Hive doesn't have the best string sounds actually, so you don't feel that inspired with them. So what we'll just do, put them in as placeholders. I will definitely get rid of them and replace them with better sounding. In fact, I've got a string VST in mind to get, so we'll be replacing that. But it's just for the sound. It's just for the sound design. The other thing I'll do is just duplicate that yet again, and we just replace this with. Just going to do a search for piano. Hopefully, I'll find just a basic piano. Just solo this. not the best pianos either. But as I said, it's low CPU. Beggars can't be choosers, so I'm just going to use a bright piano. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to I've just selected that first note, copy and paste, and then just move it somewhere. So this is G sharp, so we can move this to the root note, which was E. I'm going blind, there it is. So here we've got that sound. And so what I like to do is copy and paste. Now I've got Control D, so I'm just duplicating. So one thing I'm not sure about is the kickstart that has been inherited from the other duplicate, so let's remove that and try it again. So let's just not duplicate, sorry, let's copy and paste, and I'm just playing this by ear, just what feels right. There you go. So what I'm doing is yeah, so this is the resolving. So it just resolves back to G sharp. Let's copy that. So that's going to be copied across, and we'll just put the vocals back on. I've already decided that the hi-hats have to go, so I'm just going to move them here. They just don't work with this song. So what's really good here is that I'm just merging the first two bars. Repeating it is boring for me because it feels like it needs to go into another energy. Let's get rid of the bass as well.
Touching your love, feel it's your touching your love. Feel it's your touching your love around.
not sure about the ending there, but I'm going to just now put the bass back on. Merge them.
One night for us, and all I want to feel is your touch and your love around.
Not too bad. Let's just hear it with the other chords.
Feel it's your touch and feel it's your touch and your love around me. You live at night, I seen you breathe in all the energy. Push, boy.
So that's sounding a little bit better. So I think we've got kind of the basics there. Actually, I didn't mind the sound of that other hat, so I might keep that there. So what I need to do now is put kind of the jigsaw puzzle thing. We just need to make it fit. So I think it fits on the intro. It just doesn't fit near the end here. But this is maybe where we need the hi-hats just to come in. So I think at this point here, I'm not really liking the vocals. I like the beginning bit. I think I'm going to cut them off here, so just press Ctrl E. And I'm going to just create another holding track. I'm just going to put that away. So let me just listen to the rest of it. Okay, that's good. So at that push-pull bit, it's not too bad. So I'm going to just cut it there. I'm going to remove all this nice stuff in here. I'm just going to mute it. And it just feels like it needs more of the beginning bit, like repetitively. So what I mean is more of this. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut this first bar. This could be risky, so Control E there. I'm going to copy that. I'm going to create a new MIDI track and a simpler. This is a technique I've been using a little bit more of lately. Just get the simpler in. I'm just going to take that audio track. I'm going to drop it into the simpler. This is, remember, we're not listening to that. So there's this thing called slice. Okay, it's taken the whole track, so I'm just going to Control J and consolidate it and just put that in here so the whole thing is better. So let's play it on the keyboard. Nothing's happening. Bear with me a sec. So that works. So I'm just going to remove that because that doesn't seem to do anything. Just put something there. That's that transient there. One here. We need maybe one here. And that one's good. That one's good. Cool. So it's I like to use the OSR, a little bit of resonance, a little bit of drive. So got a few little bits and pieces chopped up. Going back to that technique, we will just throw an ARP edgeator in there. Just any old. Actually, let's just use a gate, a short gate. 1/8 actually should be fine. So let me just put the chords in. So because it's in E, so I'm just going to put these chords in here. I don't know what's going to happen. Let's give it a go. Metronome on. So it depends on what is being played. I'll just make this a bit smaller. What I mean is, let's that's better. And that's not exactly working to plan. That's fine. Okay, so the problem here is can't really use that arpeggiator because there's not enough notes on the chord, so I'm just going to take the chord out. Of course I could put more notes in, but I don't want to. I'm too lazy. So let's do another thing. So we're just going to unsolo that, and we're going to loop this part of the track. Actually, loop that part of the track. So I'm getting a lot of delay, or a lot of latency. So let's record a few bits and pieces. So I was just really auditioning there. Okay, so there's a problem with this bit. Yeah, so that is too long. So I'm going to cut that a little bit. I'm going to cut that. I'm going to cut that. They're just too long. Let's give it another go. So yeah, it sounds pretty terrible, but we will fix that. That's the beauty of DAW. You can edit and solve. So I just consolidated that piece, and we're just gonna listen to it again. Okay, so I just got the parts that sounded decent together. They're not perfect. So let's. Sounds better though. So I'm just going to add another audio track in kind of in this point, at this middle point here. Make it a bit lower in sound. So what I'm going to do is just taking a part of the original vocal as kind of a background to the chopped up vocal. Kind of crazy, but I think it'll work. Just want to make sure I've got it in the right mode so I can edit the... No, it's not. I need to take it out of automation mode to do... Actually, I don't want to... Actually, I've changed my mind. So what I'm going to do is the volume of the track. Sorry. It's gonna... I know there are faster ways of doing this, by the way. Yeah, so the faster way of doing it is to select the track and then just do that. In fact, that's what I should have done. So let's duplicate that. What I'm trying to do is get the part of the song that's really catchy, which is the initial part, then fade that out. It's too loud though, so let's just change that, just make it a little softer. Let's duplicate that. So remember, we've got no effects, so it's a bit shitty sounding now, but it should hopefully sound better later. Groovy. So by the time you get to the next verse, it should sound like the second verse. So we cut that off a bit too early, so let's start it there. Love, stay together, we push, pull, love. So let's take all of that good stuff and move it back a bit and just make a bit of space. Now listen to it. That's not going to work because we need music. So let's just copy all of these tracks, all of these. So I've just selected it and press Shift and select. Now let's make the space. You'll notice I've only made space, but the background vocal I've just left it for continuity. Obviously, we need to remove that. Yeah, so kind of a pet hate here is I don't like it when things don't sync, which is what's happened there. Oh, that's right, because that's an unused track. That's fine. We can get rid of that. Just put that right on the bottom so we know it's not used. Actually, right at the top so we know it's not used, and we just actually we can almost delete it. Let's just delete it. So let's listen to it again. Love, stay together, we push, pull. Love, stay together, we push, pull. Love, stay together, we push. Our love, when worlds collide, when worlds collide. I haven't actually heard the rest of the song. Push, pull, So I'm not a big fan of the push-pull thing. What I could do is I've just copied this bit here, and I just want to listen to the rest of the song that I cut out, and maybe that could be the second verse. What I'm really looking for is the second verse of this song.
You live at night.
Yeah, let's use that as a second verse.
You live at night. I seen you breathing all the energy. Push, pull, love seeding.
I really don't like the push-pull thing, so I'm just gonna get rid of that push-pull stuff. What I will do is then reintroduce in the chorus, which is here, is all of this good stuff that we did before. So we're gonna, yes, it's duplicative. We're going to put the chorus in. So that's gone out of sync. Once again, my pet hate is things going out of sync. Don't like. That's because that last track was cut short. So what I want to do is copy it all again, but from the beginning and there. Oops. Get rid of that too. So copy it all from the beginning and make sure we're in sync. What I'm looking to do here is just have the bass. So it's going to get rid of all of this stuff here.
Worlds collide.
Get that bit there.
Worlds collide. When worlds collide. When worlds collide. Push, pull, love stay together.
So, all good. Just repeat again.
Together we push, pull.
So the push-pull still there, unfortunately, but I'll I'll decide what to do with that later. So the next thing I'm going to do is just remove these return tracks. Just put my own in. Get my favorite reverb, which is a Valhalla. Just type in Val, and up comes a Valhalla, and push that into the return track in here. Keep it pretty high. Get a compressor. The standard Ableton compressor is fine with me. I still haven't really worked out how to use the one I bought, which is the Pro, which is the FabFilter one, but this is, to be honest, this is fine. So what was the vocal track? This is where we're going to start renaming things. So this one here is vocal. So I need to make sure that's called vocal. So that one is going to be sidechained to the vocal, and I'm going to push that down, threshold down, everything else will just leave it. Maybe the ratio just a bit up. So that's going to be sidechaining to the vocal. Vocal's going to have a lot of lovely reverb, but it's not going to, it's going to be not clashing type reverb. Now the decision to, so what I need to do here is duplicate this later, but let me just, and I'll explain why. But this, there's something else I need to, oh, Pro Q. So I just need to get the EQ. Just want to put it on this track because I always forget to do it on the return tracks. So just put the low cut in there, and so just going to press tab, and tab brings me straight to, press tab again. I'm going to click on that track, press tab, and you can just see where it is there. So I'm going to increase the reverb and listen to it now.
Together we push, all we have is one night for us, and all I want to feel is your touch and your love around.
So really, this is the vocal chop. So let's rename that to vocal chops. Sorry, let's rename it properly. Vocal chop. I had chops for lunch, so there you go, dudes. And once again, just press tab, and let's just put this in. This is sidechaining with this other track, but it shouldn't make a big difference. If it's too much, you can just turn it down a bit. This low cut side needs to be on all the tracks, so just going to get on the vocal track, on the vocal chop track, just to make it sound cleaner. Let's put it on this track. Okay, that's enough there. So the other thing I want to do is get rid of those. That intro part, this nice intro part there, I'm just going to put it there as well. And I'm going to remove the drums. I'm going to just hide them for now. Remove the bass. Just remember this is the bass. It's interesting to hear it. This is the pluck. So just rename this. It's interesting to hear it without the bass. That's another thing I'd kind of recommend everyone does, is listen to stuff. Listen to stuff without other instruments, just to hear what they sound like in isolation. Because I already think I've got to change here. So I don't like that at all. Just keep it the same note. Bit of tension, eh? Don't need that as well. I just want them to be different colors. I just want them to be different. I mean, while we're at it, this piano sound is hideous. Not this one, this one. Let's just call that piano so we don't forget again. This one was the string. Well, it will have strings when I change all the sounds. Just need to make sure the piano has, yeah, they've all got that. So I'm going to do is press tab again, and on the piano track, just give that some of that nice reverb. We can start with without the string as well. So, okay, I think I've worked this out. So basically the arrangement will be no string at the beginning, definitely no bass at the beginning, no drums at the beginning. So let's put all the tracks back in, so just so you can hear how it sort of evolves. Sorry, let's remove that. What worries me is that the intro might be a little bit too long. Also, I don't like the string. Slight different arrangement of the string and the pluck can be used in different places. This is a good time to bring the speed back. You remember at the beginning I slowed it down, so let's bring a contact instrument in for the strings. So I actually think it's now too fast, but 100 was way too slow, so let's bring it to 110. Yeah, so it gives a bit more room for the chops. Maybe even a bit slower. So this string now, I'm going to build it up. I'm going to duplicate that. So I'm just going to select all of that stuff and just going to make it an octave higher. Wrong color. Let's make that color. Let's put that in the strings. See what that sounds like. An octave higher though, because the strings are. Oh shit! What have I done? What have I done? Let's just copy that. Put it in, copy that one and put it in here.
You live at night, I seen you breathing all the energy.
So the push-pull bit still haven't got rid of it. But what we're going to do...
Push, pull, love, stay together, we push, pull, love, stay together, we push, our love, when worlds collide.
So put the push-pull bit at the end is just...
Love, stay together, we push.
push-pull, goodbye. That's going to be gone. Oops. Just looking for a really nice part of the vocal. Or just kill the push-pull bit. Let's just duplicate this baby. Let's do that. Do it like that. Whoops. So I'm just trying to make the best of a shitty situation. So I'm just going to Control J that. I can just consolidate that bit there. Push-pull, unfortunately, but it sounds quite rhythmic. So just finishing the song off really. So I've got kind of the ending of the song there. What else we want to do this? There is something else I was thinking of doing actually, and what was this bit here? Oh, that's another vocal track. Let's just put this, this was called vocal backup. So we're getting there, guys and girls. Just use that chops for the vocal backup as well. In here as well. Sound that great, so I'm just going to leave that bit out, but I think it will sound good here. Sounds good with the bass. So that bit we had at the beginning, we're just going to put it back in. Get rid of the, sorry, oops, shit, get rid of that shit. We just change the piano too. We'll get the grandeur on. It's a lovely piano. So what we haven't been doing a lot of is getting the getting the compressors in. So I'm just going to get the CLA one in. So that pluck needs one as well. Just put it in before the pros. There you go. So there's that string. Before the kickstart sidechain. This one's a little bit too, the plucks are too loud. I think I'm getting into minutia now, guys. So feel free to not listen anymore if you're not already, which is impossible, of course. So get some going on the vocal. Always before the EQ. So we're going to get that on the, sorry, that didn't have an EQ, so we just put that EQ in there. You notice that I don't use my EQs very much to change the shape of the sounds because I do that with the sound. So just maybe sometimes to get rid of certain frequencies, but I don't use it very often unless I hear a problem. So far I'm not hearing too many problems. It's all sounding pretty nice actually. So we're going to go, the kick also needs compressor. We're going to use the mono one for the EQ. Just use a preset to start with. Sounds okay. Similarly with the snare, we just don't want the snare to go too mental. I'm hearing that the chops are too loud. So I'm just going to put the volume down a bit. Bass needs compressor. This bass needs a mono compressor. I'm going to use this free A one for this string. Okay, so that's pretty much it. So the last thing I'll do and show you is master track. So I've actually got a, and a lot of people, I'm sure a lot of people do this. I've got a, click on all results. I've got actually from a song that I like the sound of. I just saved the master chain there, and I just use it in quite a lot of songs as a starting point. So the mastering chain, I'll just explain it to you, is a FabFilter Pro MB, another compressor. So Pro MB is a multi-band compressor, but this is a dynamic one. Just use something called a dynamic goodness preset. And then I use the Waves L3, which is really, really compressed. So I may want to just shift that a little bit. That needs to go at the end. Sorry, it needs to go there. Now, if you've got the money, and I do have, so I've bought Gullfoss, which is a bit of a sort of, it's a bit of a luxury, but Gullfoss is a preset that allows, it just kind of intelligently looks for problems in the song. So let's just and you put that right at the end of the mastering chain. So let's give that a go. Just put it on the loudest part of the song.
All we have is one night for us, and all I want to feel is your touch and your love around. You live at night, I see you breathing.
So all Gullfoss does is you just mess around with the recover and tame, and you can just see it's kind of worked out. If I just bring tame back to 0, you can see recover, what it does is it brings out sounds that should be coming out, and tame is just reduces sounds that it thinks intelligently it should be getting rid of. I don't know how it does it, but it always just makes it sound a bit better. And you can just touch it up, like brighten a couple percentage, maybe 5%. Just gives a bit of a shinier sort of thing. You can actually increase the volume, but there's no point if it's already got limiter. So just press tab. So the other thing I'll do is just check the volume. No problems. I mean, this will go up to 0, but I don't want to blow your ears off. So this will get very loud. So this is pretty much it, guys and girls. Song done. Can't believe I've done something so quickly, actually. But just wanted to let you know that this isn't the end of the song. I'm probably going to go back and spend more hours and hours and hours on it. The big decision to make is whether to use the vocal from Splice, which is a sample vocal, or just hand this over to a vocalist to write their own lyrics. So that's the beauty of this, because what I do is work out the arrangement of a song around vocals. Like you've got a feeling, kind of how the vocal should sit on a song, and you do end up with a pretty decent sort of song, really. I mean, if you just listen to it without the vocals, it's not too bad. I mean, and also with things like bass, I mean, I will end up, for example, changing the bass. So even though it's quite vanilla sounding, what I tend to do is I can select all of that and just move that a little bit like that, and then suddenly it sounds different. So listen to this. Famous last words. It doesn't sound that different. Now listen to that. Or that. Or that. not going to do that now because don't want to. So there you go, guys and girls. Any questions, comments, send them across. Hoping someone learned something from this. If not, I apologize for wasting your time and just never come back and watch any of my videos again. But if you did like this, I have got very similar videos to this in the past, but I'm trying to get better at making them, and just hope that you get something from them. So thanks a lot. See you later.